B'ezrat Hashem, we'll start the shir like this. Last week, in the previous year, we spoke about that the Indian of Broig is when the Rebbe Nachman, we said that the king is the Rebbe Nachman, is Hashem, and that he got upset at his daughter. And we asked the question, what do you mean he got upset at his daughter? For what reason? Rebbe Nachman didn't say the reason why he got upset at his daughter. He just said he got upset, and he told her that that the no good should take you. And she went to her room, and the next morning they didn't find her. So we discussed that the king is Hashem, and the anger is not anger that he was angry at the daughter. It was, and it doesn't mean Hashem was angry either. We spoke about in length about the Indian of Hashem created the world through Midas Adin, and then afterwards he added on Midas Arachamim. And the Broigis was the Midas Adin. And we said that's the whole point of the world. The whole point of this world is that people should go through all the hard times and to overcome the hard times. And by overcoming the hard times, they're really building the real world. This world, we said, is like an imaginary world. It's like it says in the Pasuk, it's like a dream flying by, like the wink of an eye, right? And a person has to go through difficult times, but these times are really building. So really all the difficulties that go through a person's life is really from the love of Hashem. Because Hashem wants to give him more and more in the future. And we asked, Hashem changes his mind. How could he change his mind from Midas Adin to Mizrachim? And we said, no, that he really did create a world called Midas Adin. And only the biggest tzaddikim are in that world, like Rabbi Kivo, that he gave up his life through the harshest of ways with iron combs, and other tzaddikim. So in essence, when a Jew goes through difficult times, it means that Hashem really loves him. And Hashem wants to give him more. So we asked, why doesn't Hashem right away give him good? Why do you have to go through all the hard times? So Ramchal answers the question, and he says that it's according to the wisdom of Hashem. We can't understand why did Hashem say that the Olam Haba, the future world, is going to be greater? That only if you went through hard times instead of right away giving it to us. He says we can't understand, but Hashem knew that that's the best way. So we have to take that part of our Amunah. Those are things that are outside of the Makifim, we can't understand, and we have to take that from the Amunah perspective. This week, B'ezrat Hashem, will go a little deeper into the Indian of Broigis. When Hashem created Midas Adin, it was really for the best thing. And then we're also going to go through, explain what does that mean that the king told, Hashem said to the daughter that the no good should take you. What does that mean? A mice like this. We said, what is Midas Adin? Midas Adin is all the Hastara, it's all the darkness, right? It means that Hashem is not shining, he's not shining himself onto us, and we feel we're in a place of called a tzimtzum. We're closed off, we're in a dark room, and we don't know what to do, we don't know how to get out, we don't know what to do, nothing. And it's very scary. And that's the difficult times that we each go through. It's not because that Hashem is doing something to us, it's the lack of Hashem in our lives. Ki'ilu. Of course Hashem is there, but there's a bechina of that there's called masichim, where there's screens, It's like Hashem put a veil. We can't get to the Or. Lamaiso, what does it say in the Pasuk? There's a very famous Pasuk. Pasuk says, whoever Hashem loves, he reprimands. Mish Hashem oev, right? Yochiach, he reprimands him. What does that mean? He's not reprimanding the person because the person did something wrong. If Hashem loves him, that means either he's a tzad or he's trying to do the best thing he can. So what is Hashem reprimanding him for? The pshat is from what we just said, because Hashem knows He created the whole world. He knew that Olam Haba is the tachlis of this world, and he knew that only through the hard times and difficult times are we going to be able to get to the tachlis on a much higher level. So Hashem says, I love you, so now I'm going to give you hard times. As like the Gemara says in Brachas, as opposed to goyim, that Hashem gives them all here. Rashi brings it down in the Torah all the time. Rashi says that why a goy, you see that a goy or a Jew that's no interest, he's right away, he has all the riches, because Hashem says, I'll give you everything here. And by the over with. The blink of an eye, it's done. What type of, if I told you, I thought about it, if I told you that I'll give you a present, that your Olam Haba is 1,000,000 years, it's not worth anything, because there is an end to it. And once it's over, you don't remember, you're done, you're chas v'shalom, like the atheists say. The whole thing of Olam Haba is that it's forever, and it only gets better, and there's no time. It's all in that 1 second, because we don't have no idea what this is outside the Makifim. But that's the point of why the Rebbe Nachman reprimands tzaddikim. You see tzaddikim go through very difficult things. Now, who was one of the biggest tzaddikim in Am Yisrael, the history of Am Yisrael, that went through the most difficult times? Dovid HaMelech, King David, Dovid HaMelech. If you look at Tehillim, what was Tehillim? Like Rebbe Nachman says, Tehillim was the Dovid HaMelech's Hispoidus. It was only a little bit of it. I'm sure he said more than 60-something, 70-something prokim that they have in Tehillim. And the rest is from different stuff, from Adam Rishon, Avram Avinu, well, not from him, from David. But he went through a very, very difficult time. They called him a bastard when he was a little kid. He had to go into the desert, into the wild areas, wilderness, crazy wilderness, lions attacking him. Look at the Tehillim on a simple level, without the midrashim. He went through, as we would say, hell on this earth. His own son wanted to kill him. Dovid HaMelech went through the most harshest things. But what? He never stopped screaming to Rebbe Nachman. Never, no matter what. He always says, Hashem, I'm with you. What do we say? David Hashem, Shivisi Hashem lenegdi samid. Right? He says, I'm always with you, Hashem. You're always in front of me. What did Hashem to say? What's Shivisi? That everything is equal, Hashem. I always see only the good. David HaMelech only saw the good. He always wanted Hashem because he knew that Hashem is the taich. The meaning of Hashem is good. So David HaMelech is this tzaddik that Hashem loves him and he reprimanded him. He sent him all these harsh things. Why? To build up David HaMelech. First of all, so we could be zeichet to Tehillim. That's first of all, which is not pashit. But for David HaMelech himself, the Ilm Haba of David HaMelech, who knows? We have no idea. We have no saga of what it is. Now, what's interesting is the Zohar HaKodosh in Parshas Noach brings down. It says that Noach sent the raven, the Erev, it's farish in the Torah. He sent him out 3 times. Not 3 times, the Yonah was 3 times. He sent out the Erev a couple of times to check if the water was going down. And you were able to see the land, as you would say. Threw the raven out. The raven kept on coming back and screaming and coming back in. Every time he kept on bringing him back in. Why he sent the raven specifically, there's a lot of deep Kabbalistic secrets in this, but that's not what we're going to go into right now. We're going to go into the inyan of what the raven step. What does it mean? The raven, every time he came back to the table, what happened? Noach brought him out, threw him out, like a game. I'm not going to. What does this mean? That means that the Erev, he never gave up. He was never miyayish. He always wanted to come back to Noach and to the table, and no matter how many times he was thrown out, he always came back. And what did he do when he came back? What does a raven do? It screams. It has like a scream to it. Zok Tizar, who is this raven? Representing Dovid HaMelech. Who is Dovid HaMelech? Dovid HaMelech is Bechino. That every time he wanted to go back into the table, I'm going to be masber, what was that table? There wasn't a flood in the times of Dovid HaMelech. Every time he wanted to go back to the table, what happened to Dovid HaMelech? They threw him out again. And what happened? He came back and he screamed. Another parak of Tehillim. Another screaming, Hashem, I want you. What is a teva? We know teva is 2 things. Teva means a box, like Noach built, and teva is also a word. Every time he wanted to sit and daven, every time he wanted to learn and he wanted to live b'shalva and serve the Rabban Shalom, what happened? Rabban Shalom took him and said, goodbye, threw him away like the raven. Every time. Why? Because that is what a tzaddik has to go through. Because that is the begin of being, how do you get close to Rabban Shalom and Olam Haba? What's Olam Haba? Olam Haba is built on all the suffering that we go through, each and one of us. So if somebody realizes that life is one small little, the fleeting moment, and he says, all this is great, but you know what? I'd rather have suffering because it builds up my Olam Haba, then he's a smart person. But if a person wants riches over here, I don't mean riches money-wise, I mean that he just wants to live beautiful, then you'll do that here for 70 years, and then it's over with. If I told you for 1 billion years, you wouldn't do it, because at some point in your life, after 1 billion years, it's over. Olam Haba is endless. So David HaMelech is the beginning of the Erev, Zok Zohar HaKodosh. Zohar HaKodosh in Parshas Noach. So, and what's the kesher of David HaMelech to this raven, that just like the raven never gave up and he kept on coming back and screaming to Noach, David HaMelech always came back to Rabban Shalom and screamed, Rabban Shalom, I'm not leaving you. You could do whatever you want to me. I'm staying with you no matter what. And that's what every year has to learn from David HaMelech. That no matter what we go through, a lion, we have lions every single day. The Yetzer Hara is a lion, right? What does he do? He destroys us. Hashem, I'm with you no matter what. I couldn't kill us. Doesn't matter. That's what the Zohar HaKodosh says. L'maisel Chazal write that in La'asid Lovai, in Olam Haba, there's going to be a famous meal. A Suda, the Suda of the Leviathan. Now, what the Leviathan is, everybody, the Leviathan is a fish that, according to some Chazal, it's nefach. its weight and dimension is as big as this whole world, and it's underneath the water. It had a wife at one point, but Hashem destroyed it because if they made children, then the world would be destroyed. But the Leviathan, according to Kabbalah, is not really a fish. Obviously, not considered eating fish. It's a tremendous hasaga in Hashem, and the Zohar speaks about it, and the Sifrei Kabbalah. Again, we're not going to get into that because that's not the point of this year. But in Olam Haba, there's going to be this meal, and Mashiach is going to be sitting. There's going to be a special place in the Beis HaMikdash for Mashiach. Mashiach is going to sit there. Mashiach is going to start saying Torah. The Zohar writes. This is what the Zohar writes. The Zohar writes. The Zohar is in Parshas Shlach Lecho. The Zohar writes that Mashiach is going to start giving us Torah that's going to be so beautiful that the neshamas of Am Yisrael are going to just go all the way up to the highest level of Gan Eden. We know there's Gan Eden Elyon and Gan Eden Tachton. There's the lower level Gan Eden and the higher level. The Zohar says tzaddikim now they could go on Shabbos and Yom Tiv to Gan Eden Elyon. From the Torah, their neshamas are going to go be so dovek in Hashem they're going to just jump all the way to Gan Eden Elyon. When on one tonight, when Mashiach starts saying this Torah, and there's a yoina, it says there's going to be a bird, a yoina, right? A pigeon that's going to come down and put a crown on Mashiach's head. And when he puts a crown on Mashiach's head, during the Mashiach saying this Torah, all the neshamas they're going to be bottom of Voto to the Gan Eden Elyon. That's what it says in the Zohar in Parsha Shlach Lecho. Then at the end of the meal, all the tzaddikim are going to go and say, they're going to ask, who's to make kiddush and to do birchas hamazon, to do havlan, right? And on the kos on this kiddush, the kos. And this tzaddik is going to come and say me, and they're going to say no, for this reason. This tzaddik, no, this reason. This all the tzaddikim are going to come, and for each tzaddik there's going to be a reason why he doesn't deserve to make. Obviously, it's not a stam kiddush; it's a hasoga and Hashem that who knows what. Until David HaMelech comes, and David HaMelech they're going to say yes, you're zoiche. What was special about David HaMelech? Zok the Zohar in Parshas Shlach Lecho, based on what we said in the Zohar Chodosh in Parshas Noach, because David HaMelech is the beginning of the Oirev. What's the Oirev? That he never gave up. All the Yisum he went through. David HaMelech is the idol, as you would say. It's the role model that no matter what you go through in life, he never gave up and he always came back to Hashem. And because of that, he never gave up and he was never miyayish in looking for Hashem in the Hastorah, because he knew the Hastorah is from Hashem. It's the best thing for him. That's why he's going to be zoich to make the Birkas Hamazon and this koish of Kiddush. And what? And through that also, Oilamis Al Yoinim, the highest Oilamis. So we see again in the Bechina that only because a Yid goes through, that's why he's zoich to the greatest of heights. And that is who David HaMelech, the Bechina of the Oirev. The Maisa, like this. Who is this Oirev? We said it's David HaMelech. The Oirev was also the Bechin of Mashiach. Moshiach Ben Dovid, right? Who's Mashiach? Moshiach Ben Dovid. What is the Bechin of Mashiach and the Oirev? The answer is, Oirev is a raven, but Oirev is also a lotion of irbuf, means a mix. What happens, what's going to be when Mashiach comes? Mashiach, what's the whole point of Mashiach? What does Mashiach do? Mashiach, what he's going to do is he's going to bring everybody to tshuva. He's going to bring everybody to the Rebbe Nachman tshuva. He's going to bring everybody to Amunah Pshuta, Amunah Shleima, and things that we have no idea, we have no concept of because it never existed. Hasog is way beyond. What does he do? Mashiach mixes himself in all the neshamas, and he brings everybody to tshuva. So Oirev, the bird, has to do with Mashiach because Oirev, the Lashon, Oirev, the raven, is also a Lashon of mixing, that he's going to go amongst what? Like Rebbe Nachman says, what is a tzaddik amiti? That he brings himself down to the lowest places. He mixes himself into the dirtiest of places to bring out the neshamas that are stuck in those places. And that's in Mashiach. Memelo, what's the Lashon of Oirev? Oirev is also Arev, a mixed, right? Mixed. What's an Arva guaranteer? It's also, what does that mean? He's getting himself mixed into the business deal. Also guaranteer. He's also getting involved. He's not involved in a business deal, but he's mixing himself into it because of a specific case that's happening. That is the Bechin of Mashiach. What's interesting is that where's Mashiach Ben Dovid come from? From Yehuda. This past parsha, Parshas Vayeshev. What did Yehuda tell Tamar? Arvenu biyodai, right? Arvenu is an Arev. What's an Arev? It's a mashkanta, it's collateral. But he also meant, we could say, that he was talking about Mashiach, that I'm an Arev. That what I mean I'm an Arev, I'm the chinas of Mashiach Ben Dovid, because Mashiach Ben Dovid has come from Yehuda, right? From Yehuda. And who is Yehuda? Dovid hamelech, Moshiach Ben Dovid. And what do you say? Ariv, the same lashon, because Ariv is a lashon of mix, which is the job of Mashiach to go into the lowest of places and mix himself into the crowd, as you would say. And what? And be machzer everybody to tshuva. And that's why, so we see that not just Dovid hamelech is kosher to the Ariv, because we said Dovid hamelech never gave up. He kept on coming back to the teva, to the davening, each milah, just like the bird came back. But also Mashiach is the Indian of Ariv, because the Mashiach is the Indian of mixing himself in, of Klal Yisrael. What's interesting is the Arizal, in Kisvei Ari, the Arizal writes that these last doiris, from which was he lived about 500 years ago, but these last doiris before Ikvased Mashiach, he says that every neshama that's on this world as a bechin of Mashiach. Not that we're all Mashiach. I know a lot of people, it's interesting, a lot of people get into that Mashiach syndrome, that they think they're Mashiach. It could be, it's okay, because based on what the Arizal is saying, he does have some sort of, some people say the guy went crazy, but the etzem is neshama feels some sort of connection to Mashiach, because Arizal writes beferish that each neshama in this world has a connection to Mashiach, and really we all have a nitzot, a spark of Mashiach. So what's interesting is, based on the Arizal, also, what does it mean that Mashiach is not that just Mashiach? I'm saying even deeper now. Mashiach is not just that he's going to mix himself in and bring everybody to tshuva. He is a mixture of all the neshamas. So it's even more. So we said Dovid hamelech because of how Dovid hamelech lived his life. Mashiach is for two reasons why he's compared to the Erev. One is because he mixes himself into the lowest of places and everywhere, all the darkest, to bring Am Yisrael back to tshuva. But not just that, the etzim inyan of Mashiach, nishmas Mashiach, is koilu from all the nitzoitzes of all neshamas on Elam Hazeh. That's what they're based on the result. So why does a yid have to go through all these hard times? Because based on what the Arizal is saying, that just like Mashiach has to go through all the hard times, because he has to go to the lowest of places, all the tzimtzumim, so just like Mashiach has to, we also, because we have a bechin of Mashiach in us. So it's another reason. What do we say? Why do Yidden have to go? Why do us Jews, even religious, who are sitting and learning, they go through such terrible hard times, especially now in Ikfis Mashiach? Mashiach is right here. What's the reason? What's the reason? Because we say, because Hashem, who he loves, he reprimands to give Adam Haba. But now we're seeing even a deeper reason based on the result. Because just like Mashiach has to go through the hardest of things, because he has to be mavar all in its in the lowest of places. So just like Mashiach has to, we have to, because we're Bechina Mashiach. We all have a small kesher, a spark in Mashiach. So therefore, I go through what I go through, you go through, you go through, you go, every single person. Because we all have a job of being mavar these nitzaitis, because we're all part of Mashiach. And that is all connected to the oirev that was attached to Noach. And when we go through these tzimtzumim, just like the oirev that Noach threw him out, and Hashem from Shemayim, they keep on telling us, no, we're not going to let you in. Like Rebbe Nachman says, in the beginning, they keep on throwing you away. But know that they're really bringing you close. Because if you understood what the throwing away is, it's not just that Hashem wants to give you Olam Haba like last week. We're building even more now. We're saying, because really, when you're going away, you're bringing about the Geula closer. Because you're doing the job of Mashiach. You're helping Mashiach. Because you're part of the Nitzatz Mashiach. Part of Nishmas Mashiach. That is the pshat in why Yidden also have to go through what they have to go through. Not just to build up Olam Haba like in the beginning of the shir, that this Hashem loves your reprimands. Because we have the job to do it, because we're helping Mashiach, because we're a part of Mashiach, like the Arizal writes. And that's the bechin of the oirev that left the table. What's interesting is, but if you look in the parsha over there, there was another bird. The bird that was called the yaina, the pigeon. Noach sent a pigeon. The pigeon left 3 times in the pasuk if you look at what happens. The first time he went back, there was no land, there was nothing, it was pure water still, he came in. The second time he left, he came back, there was a little, Noach saw that there was a remez that the water was going down because he had a leaf, an olive leaf, in his mouth. Right? So he saw that if there's an olive branch or a leaf, then obviously the water's going down because the bird wouldn't be able to get near anything. And then the third time he sent him, the Yonah never came back. What's interesting is, like this. Rashi brings down in the Parsha, I saw Rashi says there's 3 dates. These 3 times are 3 very important dates in Brias HaOlam. Why? The first date was on Yud Ches El. On Yud Ches El. That was the first time Noach sent to Yoina, and it was nothing. It was complete, still chaos, and he came back. Yud Ches El, by the way, is when? Is Yoyt to the Baal Shem Tov. Agav. The second time he sent him was 7 days later, Rashi says, which was Chof Hei El. Right? That's when he came back with Ali Zayit, with the olive branch. The third time he sent him, and that Yoina didn't come back, was when? Was Beis Tishrei, 7 days later also. So, Yud Ches, Chofei, Beis. Those are the 3 times. After Beis, the Yoina didn't come back. Noach took a sign, and he saw that the water was the Mabul was over, and he came out and he did the Karbonis, and so forth, the whole process that the Torah speaks about. Now, what's interesting is that these dates are very, very, very important. Why are they very important? The answer is like this. The Gemara says, it's a machlokes Rabbi Elazar and Bishua, but we pass Rabbi Eliezer. It's a Gemara in Rosh Hashanah. Gemara in a couple of places, the Gemara brings down, but the basis of the sugi is in Rosh Hashanah. Rabbi Eliezer says the first day of Brias HaOlam was when? When Hashem created the world the first day? Chof Hei, what? Was on Chof Hei El, which was the day that the Yoina came back for the second time. What was 7 days earlier? What was 7 days before? The Rashash, one of the Gedolim Mukubalim that we always bring from the Rashash, says that 7 days before Brias HaOlam, what happened? The Shvira. The famous Shvira, what happened? Rebbe Shalom, there was all the nitzitzis of Kedusha, and what happened was, we're not going to get into it, but Rebbe Shalom created a Shvira, which was Midas Adin itself. The Shvira is all the Tzimtzumim. What happened to Shvira? That there was a breakage in all the vessels that were holding all the oiris of Hashem, and it scattered all around. And Memela, there was all Tzimtzum, and Adam Rishon had to go fix it. He messed it up, he didn't fix it, and then that's what we're trying to do now, is fix it all these years, and then when Mashiach comes, that means we fixed it, and then we have to do the job that it gave to Adam Rishon. All this is brought in Ramchal also in Derech Hashem. But what's interesting is the Ramchal doesn't bring what day, but the Rashash says that on Yud Ches Tishrei is when this Shvira happened, this breakage. What is this Shvira? Tov Vavo. Right? It says in the beginning of Parshas Bereishis that before the Rebbe Hashem created the world, what was the world? Tov Vavo. When did this Tov Vavo come? It wasn't. Tov Vavo was also created. Hashem created the Tov Vavo. Hashem wasn't Tov. Orin Soif, there's no Tov Vavo. It's Orin Soif. It's an endless light of Hashem. But for 7 days, before the world was created, there was a 7-day period of Shiras HaKelim, which started in Yud Ches Tishrei, which is what the Torah means by Haisa Sov Vavo. When Hashem created Chafei, that's when Hashem created the Neshama of Mashiach, it says. That's what the Gedolim Mukubalim write. In Kisvei, in the Svarim Mukubalim write Chafei Tishrei. What did the Rabbanah, what happened? What was Chafei Tishrei? The Yoina came back with what? With an olive branch. Who is Mashiach? Moshiach Ben Dovid is David hamelech. What does David hamelech say in Tehillim? Why does it say Zayit? Why did he come dafka with the Zayit? And Zayit's going on Mashiach, we said, right? David hamelech says in Tehillim, Kizayit Ranon. David hamelech compared himself that we're like an olive. Who compared Mashiach? Zogt. What are we saying here? When the Yoina came back, the Yoina was saying, today is the day that Neshama Mashiach was created. That now the tikkun of the Shviras HaKelim that happened 7 days earlier, which the Rashash said happened 7 days earlier, and now we're being metaken it, it's starting already now the tikkun, from already the Neshama Mashiach being born, created. And that is Meramiz in the Zayit, like David Melch says, Zayit Ranan Tehillim, which is going on Moshiach Ben Dovid. That's what we want. And what was 7 days later? Chof Hei, right? That's what? That's when, I'm sorry, not Chof Hei. Second. And then 7 days later, what happened? Adam Rishon was kicked out of Gan Eden. What happened when Adam Rishon was kicked out of Gan Eden? The Nitzitzis exploded even more. And what happened? All the neshamas. What Am Yisrael is really one neshama. We're all included in Adam Rishon, Adam Akadma, Adam Rishon, the first man, Adam. What happened when he did the Chet Eitzadas? He was a tremendous or. It says he had a body, but his body was not the body we had. It was a different type of body. It was a spiritual body. We give a share all on his body, what it was, but it's for a different Indian. But what it does say about Adam Rishon is that when he did the Eitzadas, Chet Eitzadas, all the neshamas flew out of him, and that's us. So what happened on the third time the Yoina went out? He didn't come back. He didn't come back to say that what? That what now? There's going to be a long golus, and there's going to be a long trip. And Am Yisrael is going to have to go through a lot of tzimtzumim, a lot of closing offs, a lot of things until we bring the Mashiach Tzidkenu. And that's our job. This is our job to bring Mashiach Tzidkenu. That will mean that we fixed the nitzotzes and brought it back into the one soul, and then we have to do what Adam Rishon's job was then, and maybe a different shir will explain what Adam Rishon's job was. It's machlokes actually, different mukubalim based on the Rambam and Ramban, but a different shir. What's interesting is, so what do we see? We see that the whole thing of the Etz and Teva and the Oirav and the Yoino, that even though the Oirav is that we have to go through all the Tzimtzumim, but we will what? We will bring Mashiach, which is the Alei Zayas, and we will, Bezrat Hashem, bring Mashiach to attack and all this, and there will be an end to all the Tzimtzumim. That's the point we see from the Teva. What's interesting is they ask a question. Where did this Yoina go? It flew away. It doesn't say where he went. Zok the Zohar HaKadosh. Like this. Zok the Zohar in Parshas Shlach and Daf Kuf Samach Dalet, the famous Zohar. Zok the Zohar HaKadosh. Where did the Yoina go? Zok Rashbi, one of the highest neshamas came to me. He doesn't say the neshama of which tzaddik, and told me. He says Rashbi said he told me, I'm going to reveal you a secret that never was known in this world. He asked him what? He says, you know that Yoina that you know that's going to put the Keter on Mashiach that we spoke about. This is the same Yoina that Noach sent out of the Teva and that never came back and brought back the Alei Zayis, which is the holy name Mashiach. And you know where he is now? He's in the highest of chambers of worlds, of Dargas in Shemayim, and he's waiting. And who is this Yoina really? It's not a bird, it's a malach, a high, huge malach, that when Mashiach's going to go into the Azara and start giving this Torah, and we're going to go up to the Gan Elyon with the crown on his head, this malach, someone's going to put the crown on his head, this same Yoina malach that was in the note by the Teva of Noach, that what was Meram is the whole inning of Mashiach and Olam Haba. One beautiful kesher we have over here. And that's the pshat in Zayis Ranon. And what's interesting is they ask a famous question. Where does Mashiach come from? From Tamar and Yehuda. Tamar and Yehuda, if you look at a very, very weird story, that he had relations with his daughter-in-law. We're talking about one of the Shvatim. Zokta Helge Tzadikim, dafka through this Mashiach's going to come. Because we have to go through the lowest of places, the lowest of Tzimtzumim. The Torah is being merames to us that how is Mashiach going to come through craziness? That in the last generation, it's going to look like it's so bad. But only through the so bad and through us going to the lowest of places and coming out of these places, just like Yehuda came out of these places, what? That's how we're going to bring, that's when Mashiach's going to come. That's why we have to go, because we said from the Arizal. The Arizal says that we're all bechina of the neshama of Mashiach. You all have an itzoitz of Mashiach. Until now, we explained this is what the broiges was from the Rebbe Nachman. That the broiges, when the Rebbe Nachman got angry, he didn't get angry. We created Midas Ardin. Now, why Midas Ardin? Last year we spoke about is to build Olam Haba. And this year was to show, was because not just Olam Haba, it was also more than that, because this is the whole inyan of Mashiach, this is the whole inyan of the Teva, and the Oirav, and the Yoina is going to put the Keter on Mashiach, on the head. What's interesting is, so really the Broigis is going to bring to a complete shleimus of the worlds. Now, we have to understand something now. Who is the Bas Melech though? Now we have to get who is the Bas Melech. It says, Hashem created the world. Who is the Bas Melech though? Who is this Bas Melech? We said the king is Hashem. The Broigis we explained is the whole Midas Hadin and all the past shiurim. But who is the daughter that came to speak to Hashem and was close to Hashem? They had a connection like this until Hashem got upset. Ki'ilu, when we explain, who is this Bas Melech? Like this. If you look in Agdama of Sipurim Isis, or it's from Rav Nosson writes over there, that the Bas Melech is Soid HaShechino. It's the Shechino. Now what is the Shechino? Everybody talks the Shechino. I always say the Shechino. I ask people, what's the Shechino? They don't even know. It's not Hashem, it is Hashem. What's the Shechino? What is it? The Shechino is like this. There's an inyan in Kabbalah. The way that Kabbalah works is that whenever there's something high up in the next world, even though it's one thing in this world, it could come out. There's a revelation from that thing in many different things. I'll give you a mashal. Just like a tree, the tree can give out branches and fruits. The root of the tree can produce many different things. The root of the ruchnius on the upper world can bring out many different types of giluyim, revelations, just like a fruit, and all these types of things. The Shechina in the Olam HaRuchnius, on this world, what does the Shekhinah mean? There's two things. The Shekhinah is Mizgal in this world, the loy toiv, the not good of this world. What is this not good of this world? Like we explained once. Not that it's really not good. Everything is good. But on the surface, it looks not good. It's all the hard things that we go through. When the Shekhinah is Mizgala in this world, one of the bechinas of the Shekhinah is the hardships. Hard times that we go through. What are the hard times that we go through? Depression or all, you name it. What do we all go through? Daily, weekly, yearly, lifely, as you would say. I don't know if it's a word, but basically our whole lives. That is how the Shekhinah comes down in one way, the revelation of the Shekhinah. What does this mean? That means that just like the Shekhinah goes down to the lowest of places, which is the not good places, the atzvus and all that, Memela, we have to be mishtatif with the Shekhinah, because that's a job of Am Yisrael. What's the job of Am Yisrael? To bring the Shekhinah back to Hashem. How can we get to the Shekhinah? Only if we go down to these low places. If I told you that in China, Lahavdil, in China, they have a certain fruit, you want to get it, you have to go to China to get it. You don't want to go to China, then you won't get it. You want to be Meyachid, the Shekhinah, with the Kodesh Baruch Hu, to bring all, which is the point of this world, which is really what the Shvira was. The Shvira was that Hashem separated the Shekhinah from himself, and the Shekhinah came down, and that really is the Tzimtzum and all that. Then we have to go to these low places and collect the sparks down there and bring them back. And that's, we tie into before, which is the whole Indian of Mashiach. And all Kisvei Arizal is based on this, basically. Based on this is one of the biggest studies in Kisvei Arizal. That's why we have to go down to these low places. Because really we said before two reasons. One is because to build Adam Hab. The second is because Mashiach is down there. But why Mashiach himself? Now we're saying the reason. Because the Shekhinah is down there. Because one of the bechinas of the Shekhinah is the dark low places. But there's another bechina of what the Shekhinah is. And this is beautiful. The other is, the Shekhinah is what? The kesher, the connection between us and the Rebbe Nachman that we have inside us. What is this connection? The inner emunah. The emunah pnimit. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Rebbe Nachman writes, and tremendously, Rebbe Nachman writes, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, he also created a world called emunah. And from that world, we take emunah. So when he created that world, and we take emunah from that world, HaKadosh Baruch Hu built into the system of the world and into Yiddishkeit that we have emunah in us. You see atheists, chas v'shalom, because they cover up the emunah with darkness. But it's called the Pintel Yid. It's the Nekuda Ayudit. It's the point of a Yid that never could be distinguished because it's that emunah that Hashem created inside and it never could be destroyed. That is how the Shekhinah comes down to this. The Shekhinah is this kesher between us and the Rebbe Nachman, which is what? The emunah pnimit. Now let me give you a beautiful mashal. Somebody calls you up and says, I have a shidduch for you. You say, okay. You go out on the shidduch. You meet the girl. On the first date, I don't know, for the people who are married, usually, it's a lot of not really the inner. It's more just like you try to make a good impression that you're a sweet guy and yada, 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 and all that stuff. After the second date and the third date and the fourth date, you get more intimate and you get more, to know each other. And you start revealing your true selves, not even on purpose, just being yourself. But the first few dates is kind of like a little bit of a, most of the cases. Can it happen here and there? Yes, but in general, most people, they prepare in their mind what they're going to say and all that because it's really part of the game. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and what happens? Then after they get married, they have tremendous kesher, but then starts the fights and all that. And somebody says, I don't understand something. The first date, you didn't even know each other and you didn't fight and it was all beautiful. Now that you love each other, you're going to fight? The answer is because we know that these fights are really what build a relationship. Because when you have an argument with your wife or with your husband and you work on it, you bring your connection much closer. It's a fact. It's a fact. By having sometimes a heated discussion and then making up afterwards, the love that you feel is a love that you never felt before because you truly see how much you both worth in each other's eyes. Now, we're not giving a share about getting married. We'll do that maybe a different week. But I'm bringing a point out. The connection with Hashem is the same thing. The connection with Hashem is lahavdil, like a connection between a husband and wife. If Hashem wanted, which is the Shekhinah, which is the connection, Hashem wanted to have a strong connection with us and we have to build it, then what's the best way to build it? That we first get into all the arguments with Hashem. What are these arguments? That Hashem puts us in all these low places. Hashem, why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? Fights. We have fights with Hashem. We have fights. We have azas to kedusha. Hashem, why are you doing this to me? I didn't do anything. Why? I'm trying my best. The Rebbe Nachman says, you know why I'm doing this to you? Because I'm building our connection. I'm building the emunah pnimit inside of us. How do I build this emunah pnimit? Just like you build a connection between a husband and wife. The real connection is built on when it's a little ferocious. But you come out, and you come out with a tremendous love. And you always strive for more. Akash Baruch Hu says, you want to strive for my love and my connection more. You have to go to these low, dirty places. Places where it's not comfortable. Places where you look at me and you say, why? Why Hashem? But that's really building the connection with Hashem. And that's building the emunah primit, and that's inyan Shechino. So when the Rebbe Nachman says, who's the daughter? Who's the bas? The bas is the Shechino. Hashem told the Shechino Ki'ilu, which is we said the first shot means is that the Shechino is, we said the Gilui is in the low places. But according to this, we're saying it's deeper. It's not just the low places. It's the connection. The bas is the connection. It's the emunah. A bas is loshen nekeva, because going on the connection of emunah. The emunah, the daughter that we have. What's the daughter? The emunah that we have that connects us to Hashem. Hashem puts it where? What did he say? What did we ask? What's the lo yikach ischa? That Hashem told the bas that the no good should take you. What's the no good of all these low places? Because Hashem knew that by sending the emunah that we have in the kesher into these low places, which is the no good, then in the end we're going to come out on top, just like a husband and wife. Then in the beginning it's just a facade, it's a show. But after living with each other and working on their avodas Hashem, which is the avodas Hashem is a shalom bayis, they come out much stronger. When Hashem sends us into these low places, Hashem is really bringing us higher in the end. And that's what Hashem is being merames. That's what the Rebbe is being merames. That Hashem broigis was because Hashem had to create this world in the first place to bring down the Shekhinah into its low place, which is the bas, and shelo yikach l'shem, the no good should take you. The no good should take the emunah. What does it mean that the no good, these low places should capture the emunah? And people should feel, I don't feel strong, my connection, I don't feel Hashem. And work through that and to build a kesher, a much stronger kesher with Hashem Yitbarach. And Bezrat Hashem, through these Yisurim that we actually go through and all that, we should be able to see the bright side afterwards that it did for us, just like a husband and wife. Everything in the Ruchnius world we have in this world, Hashem shows us just like this, a husband and wife. That's the same thing with me and you. It's all a mirror of Ruchni is. We should take that and understand that we just said a bunch of reasons why people are asking. I saw people wrote, why is it that people, religious Jews are doing their best? Why are they going through this? We just gave maybe 5 ways, but really it's one answer, all these different ways, all the Kabbalistic ways and all the deep Hasidus that we spoke about. If you think about it, it's all one way, but it really comes down to one thing because it's really for the best. It's for the best. Maybe for the Mahaba, maybe because we're being like Mashiach, we have to go down, or because it builds up the relationship like we just said now based on this, or the other reasons that because that's the inyan of the Nitzoitzis, but it's all to do good for us, for our better good. And Bezrat Hashem, we should be Zoichet, Bezrat Hashem to be Zoichet, to Geula, Takas Adinim, with not through Yisurim, the Bezrat Hashem, all the Yisurim that we went through should be enough. We should be Zoichet to Geula, Shalem, Meher, V'Yameinu, Amen.